Hello everyone, welcome to this session of project planning and management. In this session we will discuss about the planning tool. Earlier we have discussed about the project definition, then we have discussed about the characteristics of the project, what are the various peoples and the group that is associated with the project that are also known as the stakeholders. Then we have discussed about the project life cycle. Particular project is consisting of the 5 stages in their life. It is right from the stage of the initiation, then the second step is related to the planning, third is related to the execution of project. Along with the execution, the controlling is done. Fourth step is the project handover, which is also known as the completion of the project, and the last step is reviewing of the particular project work. Now we will discuss one by one in detail. We will discuss about the phase of the planning in detail from this session. This stage of the planning is very important, as the next step, that is execution of the project, totally depends upon the planning of the particular project. At the time of the execution, one need to find out what amount of the resources will be required on which day, what will be the total requirement of the manpower, what will be the total amount of the resources, what will be the amount that will be required for that particular month or a week. So everything needs to be done at the earlier stage only, that is planning. And the complete success of the project depends upon the key planning and very precise work while doing the planning. Now there are various things and the tools present as if now to do the planning of a particular project. We will start with the very basic form of the planning tool, which is also known as networking. It is a wonderful method of logically setting out the complete project and finding out the total duration of project, and even also for finding out what are the activities which require more attention as compared to the other activities. So this complete session we will be discussing about the planning tool, what are the components or the elements of the planning tool. We will discuss about the network. We will also learn how to draw the network in this session, and also we will try to find out how to logically arrange the network and what are the rules or the one need to follow while drawing the networks. So now to start up with this part, we will move ahead, and you can see over here there are some of the important considerations. First is related to the work breakdown structure. Now as you all know that one big project is consisting of various small tasks or the work that one need to conduct. Like if you take the example of construction, constructing a particular building is consisting of the various sub activities. If you broadly divide it, it is divided into 2 parts, substructure work and superstructure work. So this substructure work is again divided into various sub activities, right from marking, excavation, footing work, refilling, and the superstructure work is again divided into various parts, casting of the columns, casting of beams, slabs, brickwork, floor finishing, finishing of home, then the overall finishing and handover. So what we have done, we have divided the complete project into various sub activities. So this is called as the work breakdown structure for the particular project. Scheduling, again it is a process of assigning the duration to the particular activity and logically arranging the activities for the particular project, which means that one should know that what type of activity is dependent upon the another activity and what are the activities which are independent. Say for example, again if you consider the work of publication of book, you cannot publish the book until and unless you write it. So first activity will be to write up and another activity will be to publish the book. Similar way, for the construction of the building, until and unless you do the work of substructure, you cannot start the work of superstructure. So to logically arrange the activities in sequence and then to assign the duration to them is called as scheduling. Resource allocation. Once you have written all the tasks that you need to do, all the work or the activities that you have written in the logical sequence. You have assigned the duration to them. Next step is to assign the resources that will be required. So for each and every activity, you need to find out what are the various types of resources. Now again, there are 4 types of resources majorly. One is man, another is material, third is money, and fourth is machine. So for conducting each and every activity, you need to find out what are the various types of resources that will be required. That is called as the process of resource allocation. Now in this particular figure, we have started with the part of project networking. Basically, activity or the work is represented by arrow, event is represented by circle. We have written I and J. I is the initial event number and J is the next or the end event number. So particular activity will consist of 2 events, I and J. Always the name of the activity is kept over the arrow and the duration for that activity, that means from I to J, is written below the arrow, which is also known as TIJ. You can see in the figure below, there are 2 activities, activity A and B. So activity A starts at event number 1 and completes on event number 2. 5 is the duration that is required for activity number A. B activity follows A. We can also say that the predecessor of B is A, or we can say that B is successor activity of A. So again, the B activity will start from 2 and it will end up on event number 3. The duration required for activity B is 4. As soon as you can start your event, you need to write up above the particular event, and it is written in the way of TE, that is the earliest event time for event number I. Similarly, earliest event time for event number J. The latest event time is written normally below the event, and it is written as TL of I, which again means the latest event time at I, and similarly latest event time at J. Now further, we will consider a small example. This example is consisting of some of the activities. Activity A is execution, B is substructure work, C is ground floor work, D is first floor work, E is compound wall construction, F is related to the inner finishing work, and G is the project handover. We will learn how to develop the network one by one. So to develop with this part, we will consider activity number A. This is excavation work. So we will draw the event number 1. It is the starting event. We will draw an arrow. First activity A will be written above the arrow and the duration for that activity is written below the arrow. We end up this activity at node number 2. Once the excavation work is done, the substructure works, mean the work for the footing and the stub column and the refilling will be done. Then once you have done the work of substructure, then the work for the ground floor starts. Until and unless you complete the work of your substructure, you cannot go for activity number C. So activity C starts once B is completed. So this particular activity C will require the duration of 28 days. Now once you have completed the work of ground floor, then you can move ahead for the next activity. That is activity number D. So once you have completed your ground floor work, you will start your first floor work. Now you can see over here activity number E is compound wall construction. Now that can be done in parallel with the first floor work. So we can start up in parallel with activity D. So we will take out another arrow from event number 4. That means after completion of ground floor work. So E, it is having the duration of 7. F is the inner finishing work for that particular superstructure work, that means G. So finishing can be done once first floor work is completed. Now there are two endings for this particular project. One is the completion of inner finishing work and another is related to the completion of compound wall work. However, a project can have only one ending. So we will add up another activity whose duration will be 0 and it will be connected to the event number 7. This activity whose duration is 0, which is represented over here in the red font, is also called as the dummy activity. Now what is the reason for providing the dummy activity? It is basically provided for the logical completion of the network, as a particular project cannot have two endings. Like there were two events, 7 and 6. So to complete the logical sequence, we need to add up a particular dummy activity from 6 to 7. And the last will be event number 8, that is achieved only when G is completed, and G is nothing but the project handover. So you need to keenly observe that either are you in need of providing the dummy activity or not. Sometimes it is not necessary to provide the dummy activity. Like for the same network, if we consider again, activity A, activity B follows A, activity C follows B, D follows C, F follows G, and over here you can see there is a small change in the network. We have taken the activity E along the straight line this time, and we have written a one common event to complete up at the end of activity F as well as for activity E. So over here we have eliminated the need of dummy. So 6 event is achieved only when activity F and activity E is completed. Then we will go ahead and we will do the activity number G, that is the project handover. Once project handover activity is completed, then there will be the last or the ending event of the particular project, that is event number 7. So this is the network which is consisting of activity, duration, event numbers and the logical flow of activity. Now some of the important point that you should note while making the network. Network always flow in the forward direction, which means that you cannot bring the arrow in the backward direction. While writing the numbers of the event numbers should be in the higher values way. Like when activity 1, when event number 1 is present, then any other event which is coming after that should have greater number. So after 1 there will be 2, similarly after 2 there will be 3, after 3 there will be 4. Now either you can write 5 at the top and 6 at the bottom, it is one and the same thing. But where it is written 7, you cannot write 6 over there, because if you write 6 at the location of 7, you can see over here in this upper figure, the sequence will be 4 to 5 and 5 to 6. And over here at the bottom will be 4 to 7 and then 7 to 6. So it cannot be from 7 to 6. We need to keep it from smaller numbers to the higher number. So starting event will be the smallest number and the last event will have the highest number, that is 8. So this is how the network is developed, and depending upon the drawing of this network, the further methods for the planning are present, like the critical path method and program evaluation and review technique. So we will stop with this session over here. Thank you.